We'll save it. I'll save it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vigilance Committee. We are with Crispy Bacon Press again today, and we're going to be talking about um, deprivation of rights under color of law and what happened to Carolina Fort Worth. So I'm going to go ahead and play this intro, and then we'll get started. And welcome, Crispy Bacon Breasts. Now, I guess the real question is, can cops be charged with treason? And I think you've got a pretty interesting perspective on the video that you just put out. And so I think we want to share that video, and we'll pause in between and kind of discuss things and go from there. And again, welcome, chat and qualified immunity. I see you in here. And that's another thing that should be gotten rid of, is qualified immunity as well.
I got my own
What do
take
you
on
think?
that too, but you know.
Yeah.
So before
Yeah.
I even get started with
All right.
anything, I actually have a question for chat because I want to know where their headspace is at about this kind of stuff. My first question to chat would be this. It's a simple question. What is justice? So
That is a
that's
good question.
so I'm just trying to figure out, like, because the reason why I bring that up is because there's a lot of people um that have their own opinions and their own comforts, I guess you could say, with what justice would be to them, you know, because we all know what the definition is, right? We all have that definition. But it boils down to what could be justified as what true justice is. So what is justice? Is justice upholding laws, or is justice upholding a moral compass where everyone could guide upon that we consider our laws? So that's my first take as to what is people's formulated opinion. What is your guys's? Nikki, Cliff? I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it.
Well, what
Serious, I'm opening
justice
the
is,
floor to
what is
everybody.
righteous, yeah, what is right? I mean, there's a difference between right and wrong, and I think in today's society, I think that that's been skewed quite a bit, where people don't know what's right and what's wrong, and so how do you find justice if you don't even know what's right and wrong? So that's, I mean, it's hard to, yeah, it's hard to really vocalize if you don't know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, justice, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, and I am putting the banner on because we, of course, none of us are lawyers and we're not offering legal advice. All opinions stated are those of the person stating them. My
Ditto.
opinion of justice is that no matter if you're rich, poor, you know, otherly abled, disabled, whatever, no matter what the circumstances are, is that it needs to be equal for everyone. It's just like in college, okay, you have your what are the sororities and fraternities, and those groups are allowed per se to get away with more than a student who does not belong to one of those clubs. Um, yeah, it needs to be equal for everybody. Period. It doesn't matter what their situation in life is.
Or what
Can I
club they
tell you
belong
what our
to.
forefathers? Can I tell you what our forefathers, John Adams, said about what justice is?
Go
Sure.
ahead.
All right, this is quoting him, specifically quoting from his diary on March 4th, 1776. John Adams wrote in one of his, I guess you could say letters, I guess is what this would be, his diary letters. Injustice, he says this: injustice, wrong, injury excites the feeling of resentment as naturally and necessarily as frost and ice excite the feelings of cold, as fire excites heat, and as both excite pain. A man may have the falsity of concealing his resentment or suppressing it, but he must and ought to feel it, which is and there's a bunch more to it, but to narrow that down to those who probably can't understand what I'm saying because I'm not very good at reading. I have a bad at reading. However, what it's trying to say is those who harm others expect to be harmed in return. That is what justice is. It doesn't mean a physical harm. It can mean an emotional harm, a damage to your wallet, a damage to your ego, a damage to something of the sort of what you did to wrong somebody. So when you wrong somebody, someone's going to end up wronging you in the end. That's the way that life is. That's life. That's the definition of what our forefathers said, what justice is. It's those who, if you are going to seek out trouble and cause trouble, well, trouble's going to find you too. That's pretty much in modern day terms. What is
So,
the new one? FOFA?
yeah. So basically, karma. Karma will find you.
Karma in the end will find you. Exactly. So this brings it all to our laws and what we have and what our deprivation of rights are and all that other stuff and what Title 18 actually means and stuff like that. Well, there's a lot of definitions, specifically around Title 18. One of them is about the Fourth Amendment, and we don't have to worry about that at the moment, though it does involve police officers in a way, because it gives the description and the legal definition of what motor vehicle means, and it's hard for people to fathom this last part of the thing because it even has the thing used for commercial purposes, the terminology of what that means as well. And it's hard for people to wrap their heads around it. And I understand that, but that's what I'm saying is people are having a hard time understanding what they're reading because they're not believing their own lying eyes. You know, like we've all heard that phrase, don't believe your lying eyes. We've been told that time and time again. Don't believe what you read right here on Cornell Law School or some type of law, or the fedgov.com or .gov or the Bureau of Investigations websites or any of those Homeland Security, any government website. They tell you not to believe what they're writing you, but yet they want you to listen to what they have to say, but they don't want you to believe them. It doesn't make sense. So my whole thing about this, can we charge police officers with treason, is a simple question of yes, we could. The problem is, can we? Do we have the people to do it? That's what I'm trying to state about this. So if you want to play this video, it's like 30 minutes long, and I understand it's 30 minutes long, so you can skip the intro if you want. It's just a nonsense intro. But yeah.
Oh, I like the intro though too.
You want to play it, and then I'll comment as we go. But
All right.
I'll fill the
Yeah.
gap. We'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. Here we go.
Scenes that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, Bruce! Oh, Jeffrey!
Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
They put you on the left, they put you on the right. They tell you what to hate, then they tell you who to fight. Till you're screaming, screaming. They put you on the right, they put you on the left. They tell you who to hate, they do anything to get you screaming, screaming.
Toilet to tap.
Like out the toilet?
So you're taking every single thing going down a toilet, every drop.
Toilet to tap. It's got electrolytes.
It's got electrolytes, guys.
192.
You're white.
Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not.
The thing behind me is one of multiple locations.
8.
I like. Yeah, you guys see the American flag and then the Russian flag kind of flash in there? It's like
The Chinese
Oh,
flag,
dude.
yeah.
I was gonna say
or
I thought that
Chinese.
was
Okay,
Chinese.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was. I misspoke.
Ni hao
But anyway, I
chao.
mean,
Chinese, we go
we're pretty
home.
close. I mean, the two flags are pretty close. I mean, it's like our country's almost like the Chinese government too now. It's
You know what's
Yeah.
weird is what's weirder though is that in China you actually have your First Amendment right to public photography and videography, because if they did not have that as a law on the books, then they would not be able to have their private security and their 24-hour surveillance cameras all over the place and everything, because they're the government, yeah, but they're not going to arrest somebody for filming unless you're actually the only time they do it is when they're actually doing something wrong, and then they arrest you for it. But other than that, they don't really
but
do
you can't-
anything.
well, it's the same in this
It's pretty much the
country.
same.
You can't really speak out against your government. Yeah, you can't really speak out against your government.
Except in
They'll
America, we
arrest
have
you.
people like flex your freedoms on the outside of a bank, filming a bank, and the cops are called and they want his ID. That doesn't happen in China. They just go up and arrest you.
Yeah.
They just grab you and throw you in the jail. Like, they don't even ask questions.
There's still a little bit more freedom in this country, but
Ye-
it's getting just as bad.
Right. And then, to go back to where the government says, hey, don't believe anything that you read, in that clip at the beginning, what was it? Toilet water to tap or toilet to tap water?
Toilet water
Yeah.
to tap. Yep,
Don't,
it's true.
don't, you've got the EPA who says, forever chemicals and blah, blah, blah. But then they're going to turn around and say, don't believe what we told you because, hey, your toilet water is going to be good for tap water. Hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like really that jumped right in there with that.
Mhm. That's why
And
I
I
like
wanted
his
to make
intro.
I want to make one thing specifically clear about that intro as well. The part about where that song Tom McDonald was talking about putting you on the left and right. I want you guys to put this put this analogy. I'm pretty sure if everyone's heard this analogy before, but let's recap for a minute. Let's go back to our educational level and let's go back and remember the scientific experiment where you take 100 black ants and you take 100 red ants and you put them in a jar. Then you take that jar, and they're all peaceful, right? They're not attacking nobody, nothing's happening. Then the person grabs the jar and shakes it. Well, now the red ants think the black ants did it, and the black ants think the red ants did it. Now they're fighting each other, and they're all going to die. But the person who did it was the person who shook the jar. So we have to figure out who the hell's shaking the jar. That's the problem in America. It seems like there's too many jar shakers.
Yep.
And qualified immunity,
That's interesting.
I do agree. We can't keep saying that we're the greatest, freest country. Honestly, other countries laugh at us when we say that. They're looking from the outside and they're seeing how our quote unquote freedoms are being taken away.
You know what opened my eyes? Even because I've never left the United States. I'll tell you this right now. I've never left the United States. I don't know what other countries go through. I just know I just know about how bad it is through reading books. But the most key important thing was how I talked to people from other countries who actually came to this country to flee from what their thing is. And yeah, they agree. Our country does have free or stuff, but they also see that we're falling into what they have already experienced. So we're experiencing their beforehand, and we're not waking up, and they're trying to wake us up. You know what I'm saying? Like they're saying, "Hey, what the hell's going on? What I came to this country because of
Yeah.
these freedoms, but you're not standing up for them. Why did I even come here? If you're not going to do that, you know?" People look out for us because they look up to us because we harbor, what did our founding fathers say? We harbor freedom for the world, but within our own bounds. I think something like that. I'm paraphrasing it, something or another. I can't remember everything in the Federalist Papers and who said what and what where, because, you know, like I said, cops don't even know all the laws because there's so many damn laws on the book. They have to carry a freaking Bible with them. It's like the Black Bible of laws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so many laws now that they've lost count of them. So, all right, let's get into this.
Yeah. Alrighty, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bacon Project. This is Crispy Bacon Press reporting to you as a BCNN investigative journalist. I am currently in the process of coming up with a hypothesis or a thesis, shall I say, of fact finding, law finding, and language understanding, I guess we could say, for certain words and terminologies. I am not the smartest tool in the tool shed. However, I am not the dullest tool in the tool shed either. This also makes me not a lawyer. I am just a person reading what I see and using the definitions from what I find as to what they use for these terminologies for when it comes to legalese language, I guess you could say. And today's hypothesis is on treason and how it applies in what I understand it to apply to. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I am not someone who's going to give you legal advice. That is not what the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is just to educate and have us have a dialogue and have an interaction with each other, and possibly get your feedback in the comment section so I can, you know, delve a little more and grow in my knowledge a bit more. So first and foremost, I would like to start off with a video, and I would like to say that this video isn't the only video out there that has happened to this type of person before, where something comes out from the police officers and they use excessive force, and this is where my mindset goes to, from what I understand the laws to be on the books as is, and what they actually, and then versus what they actually do, is what I'm trying to say. So this is an ongoing investigation for this current video. However, we are going to take a deep dive into what are specific titles for Title 18, because there's a ton of sections. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Title 18 has thousands of sections in it. There's thousands of sections. It's crazy. I'm about to show you guys. Anywho, let's check this out. Let's watch this video, and let's pause for comment, as I'll pause for my opinion as we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this video real quick. Here we go.
Fort Worth police just released new video after an officer was accused of using excessive force. A woman was recording officers at a crime scene when she was arrested and knocked unconscious. It happened Sunday at the West 7th Entertainment District, and Adriana de Alba just got new reaction to the video.
From her live-streamed YouTube video, we saw and heard the moment citizen journalist Carolyn Rodriguez was arrested and hit the ground.
Stop.
I gotta stop right there. So she was arrested, and then she hit the ground. She hit the ground. Not that she was thrown to the ground. She just miraculously hit the ground. That's great reporting. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, they're pretty much saying that her equilibrium was thrown completely off and completely out of nowhere. It just, someone just magically brain threw her equilibrium off and she just hit the ground. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
the
That's how
thing is,
stupid this sounds.
yeah. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
Maybe
very
did the
stupid.
ground jump up and hit her? Is that what happened? Is the ground jumped up? There we go. At least
She
They
according
say
to this
concrete
report.
is slippery when wet, so I'm just trying to make light of
Oh
a
my God.
bad scenario, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pick apart what this story does here. 'Cause
Oh, I
there's
totally picked
bias.
apart about it in the video. Trust me, I picked it apart.
Yeah.
Oppositioning.
The 60-year-old Fort Worth woman could be heard snoring. And today,
Caroline, we're busy. Go to the other side of the street.
Fort Worth PD released body cam video of the Sunday incident.
Stop that for a minute.
Police say she approached officers during their investigation in the West 7th area.
So investigation. We still don't know if there ever was an investigation. I think they were just towing vehicles out of the private parking lot.
Well, not only that,
This-
but the reporter really just really, I don't know. We can hear her snoring. Everybody who has seen that video, has discussed that video, has said that is not snoring, that is agonal breathing. So the
Yeah.
reporter themselves, never mind.
No, you're right.
I already point
No,
out
go
that
ahead,
the
Chris.
reporter was a piece of trash. This company's a trash company for news reporting. I point that out in the video.
Yeah, and rightly so.
Go to the other side of the street. We're gonna get arrested.
And
Pausing for a second. I do not see an investigation. I see police officers' cars parked, no lights on, no emergency, private parking lot, and they're doing what?
officer asked her to move across the street.
Wait, tell me why first.
Seconds later,
Okay, so if the officer just asked her to go across the street, that's not an order, right? So he didn't just ask her; he ordered her to go across the street, and I believe unlawfully anyway. I think she had a right to be there. What do you guys think?
Well, it wasn't demarcated as a crime scene, and there was no yellow tape, so therefore, and there was no yellow lights. Therefore, she had every right to walk onto a publicly accessible area until the manager tells her to leave. And if there is no manager to tell them to leave, then the officers have no duty to tell you to leave the property. Even though it's private property, it's a private parking lot, and you pay for that parking lot, it's still publicly accessible. So it's considered, in a way, the way the parking lots work, it's a weird setup. But this specific video, I kind of also point out that the machine to where you get your ticket to display that you've paid for your parking in that area is out of order. And there's no way to display it besides taking a QR code and scanning it with your phone. And now your ticket is on your phone and not presented in your car. So therefore, they're running some type of scandal with this private company. So maybe the private company needs to be investigated. I don't know. These are just other things, hypothetical scenarios that I'm coming up with that I've been seeing from evidence that I've been finding through this case. So there's a lot more to this scenario that I think that this attorney is leading on to be, because she was doing something and I think she stumbled onto some type of criminal activity with the cops and they're trying to cover it up. I swear, I think that's what it is. I don't know. I could be wrong, completely wrong. That's just from an investigative point of view.
That's interesting. That is interesting though. And why would this cop react so vehemently against Carolyn if there wasn't something else to it?
That's what I'm trying to get people to look at. Why was he so aggressive? He was aggressive with other people, and I know Nikki's trying to say something, so please go ahead.
Number one, no, those are all valid points. But to answer why he was aggressive with her is because she is part of that community called First Amendment auditors who are exposing officers, especially that officer, to the fact that he is out of control,
Yeah,
that
there's
his
a
ego takes
yep.
too much, um,
Well,
his
there's definitely a
ego.
history there.
Oh, yeah. And she's
Yeah, I mean,
exposing.
Manuel Mata, Harvey Freebird, and her, they've all confronted him before about his behavior. Um, and he just flat out does not like them. He's looked bad in previous videos, and so he despises the camera being there. Absolutely despises it.
Can I tell you
Just
one
my
thing about
opinion,
this
but I'm right.
video? To the question
Sure.
that I started off with in the beginning of the video of this channel right now, the live stream where I asked, "What is justice?" Well, some people have a variety of answers to that. Well, this one right here, this video right here of Caroline is a specific video of how to answer what is injustice.
Mhm.
Prime example of what
Yeah.
injustice looks like. That's not
Yep.
justice.
I
That's not
agree.
officer doing their due diligence and upholding the law. That's abuse of power, and I'm going to explain a little bit more later on in the video.
Yep. Perfect.
Walker hits the ground.
She's bleeding.
Street camera
She just said Walker. She doesn't even know who she's reporting about.
video shows
Right.
the officer grab her arms one at a time before slinging her to the ground.
I mean, that was a slam head first, right on the concrete.
They quite literally just ragdolled her to the ground.
Mhm.
Kruger ragdolled her. I already know who the officer is, but there's a reason why we're showing you this video. So stick with me here, okay? I'm gonna try and keep this under 30 minutes. I'm not so sure how well I'll do, but let's try. Let's keep going. But they threw her around like a little rag doll. So very excessive use of force. I would actually, instead of calling it excessive use of force as they do with their policy, remember, these are policies. Excessive use of force is not a law. It is a policy that they enforce and try to make it as law, which gives them that qualified immunity. That's where I'm understanding how this works. Like, I'm not sure if I'm getting Brandon Mitchell.
That was funny.
I'm sorry.
I like that laugh.
I-
Again, the laugh is with us again.
Yep. And it's just what you needed, Cliff, is to get you going. That good old belly laugh. And
Yeah,
Brandon,
absolutely.
I don't know, maybe we should make that a banner and start playing that.
Back the blue till they face plant you. We're going down here in Texas County. We're gonna face plant all these officers boundly. I don't know. I'm making up shit.
Here we go.
I have the comment section for you guys, and that's why I called this a hypothesis, a thesis, something that I'm working on that has. It's a hypothesis, not a thesis. It's a hypothesis working into becoming a thesis. So let me be clear on that, because a thesis is something factually based. So right now we're in the hypothesis stage. So if you guys have any ideas,
Are
comments,
you saying thank you?
concerns, questions, maybe
Tag.
there's something I missed along the way during this video, please let me know. I want to know. I'm here to learn
Oh.
just as much as you. I'm here to learn. I'm here to
He said, yeah,
figure
he
things
still
out
gets
as we
a
go.
kick about
Try
the
to
name.
understand the law.
LOL,
Well,
Mr. Nicky.
excessive use of force, like it states, is a policy that they're not allowed to do, right? So they get a write-up, they get reprimanded, they get suspended sometimes, and then sometimes they don't get anything. It just goes on their record that they used excessive use of force.
I think, Crispy Bacon, I think that the reason they come up with their policies is based on the CYA against these violating Constitution, violating federal law, and the Title 18, right? I think that's the reason why they put policies in place, is to cover their own rear ends if their officers get out of line and violate those rights. Does that make sense?
No, actually, well, I understand. Okay, so in reality, I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're saying, but however, from what I'm seeing, how they are implementing these policies has drastically changed from what the original intent was for. The original intent was to protect an officer if there was an actual shooting, to protect an officer from certain damages that could have been avoided if it wasn't for the criminal causing the mischief, so there are certain aspects, certain elements that should apply to qualified immunity. That's why I'm very skeptical on banning it completely or removing it completely or making it completely gone, null and void. I think it needs to go back to the drawing board and have smarter people implement a better system for it, because the system is only as good as the operator who designed it. So with that in mind, we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, these policies are here, but now they're using them to cover their own ass so they don't be held to the law that they're supposed to be upholding.
Well,
Make
that's the
that
whole
make
purpose of
sense.
putting the policies in place, is to
But
make sure
yet they
they're
don't
not
actually
violating
enforce
those
their own
laws.
policy.
Well, if they don't, then that
So if they
opens
don't
them up
enforce
to
their own
civil
policy, then we should be
litigation.
charging them with the crime.
Exactly. Well, we should be charging them with crimes anyway if they're committing crimes.
But
But we're
yet we
talking
don't do that at all.
the
So
reason,
maybe
the
instead
whole
of
reason they
charging them
put
with
the
So my whole thing is, instead of charging them with these smaller crime stuff, what we would consider misdemeanors or whatever, even though deprivation of rights is a federal law, that's no misdemeanor. That's
Right.
considered a felony because it's a federal law. Any federal law that is broken is considered a felony by definition.
Right.
That's from the Cornell College. Y'all can the Cornell Law College. Y'all can look that up yourselves, and it's all the other law colleges out there as well. But specifically, if we are not going to have people that are going to uphold the smaller laws, we need to be able to find people who will hold up the law and then push further and say, okay, if you're going to say that doing this is only going to cause this, well, I'm actually going to say, you know what? You guys have done so much damage. We have evidence to back this up as to why these things are not working, because this specific department is so corrupt. We're going to charge everybody with to the fullest extent of the law. We need to find someone who will do that to the fullest extent, not just a partial extent. Like we give these officers, we're going to give them 6 months of vacation time, like that one guy did when he said the right to freedom was the Fourth Amendment. Like, what the hell kind of cop is that? And you're a lieutenant? What the hell? There's a ton of videos out there where these cops don't know anything, and it's like, and I honestly still believe that if we're going to be a cop, you should have at least 2 years of law school. At minimum 2 years of law school before you can even apply to join the academy. I'm just saying.
No,
I know it makes it harder. I understand it makes it harder to get police officers on the street.
Policy and why they put policy in place. It is based on federal law.
Yeah.
That's why they put the policies in place, is so that these cops don't violate federal law. That's what the policy is all about. And
Yet
it
they
does
don't
apply to them, not regular civilians. But if they don't follow policy, that means they're violating federal law as well, because that's where the whole policy came from in the first place, is so that they wouldn't violate law, especially federal law. So that was my point on policy. But and it's to cover their own rear ends too for civil litigation as well. But yeah, qualified immunity is if they didn't know, but they do know because there's policy. You see what I mean? So they can't use qualified immunity if they violate their own policy, because it's based on what the federal laws are.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and we also need to get rid of what is it called? IT or something like that. Shoot, what is it? Where they pretty
IA,
much say,
internal
IA,
affairs.
IA. We gotta get rid of internal affairs for some of these things, for some departments, because they're like, all right, we investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing, even though we saw this police officer slam this guy to the ground and shoot him in the leg for no reason. Like, I'm just exaggerating a thing, okay? I'm not saying that actually happened. It probably could have. I think it may have happened. I'm not sure. It could have been a taser, but you never know. Abuse of power. And yet they
Yeah.
have these, like you said, there are these policies, and they should know the policies. Yet they don't even know the damn law. So how are we going to expect them to know their own policies?
Yeah. Well, and that's just the point. They shouldn't be law enforcement if they don't know or understand certain laws, especially when they violate them. They shouldn't be getting qualified immunity just because they're ignorant of the law. Civilians can't be ignorant of the law. They still
No,
pay the price.
exactly. They always tell us ignorance of the law is no excuse. Yeah, well,
Yep.
same to you, officer. 'Cause apparently you're trying to
That's
arrest
right.
me, and I'm going to sue your ass in court. You know,
Yep. Laws
got
for thee,
standing.
but not for me. Here we go.
Yep. So, but let's continue.
Ben Westbrook is Rodriguez's new attorney in a civil lawsuit.
Ben, if this does come off a little different, probably because You no can one's ever skip thought this of it part. way. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they have. Maybe they haven't. They did come up with the. It's about like 2 minutes. So back up just a little bit. The meat and potatoes right after that. Right after her face. Yeah, right there.
Looks like now.
And how's your client doing today?
She's in a lot of pain. She's hurting worse today than she was the day before.
She suffered a possibly dislocated shoulder, elbow, and needed face stitches. Westbrook says he believes the officer escalated the incident and used excessive force.
There shouldn't be an escalation to the point where someone is suffering, life-altering injuries.
He says his client did not pose a threat, especially since the
He said life-altering injuries. Remember that word.
Life-altering injuries, yeah. And it's good to see Rogue Nation in here, Press with Ranker. And folks, if you can put their links in the channel. And if you've been basically living under a rock and you don't know who they are and you haven't subscribed to them, do it now. Do it immediately and watch their videos.
My
and
mom
make sure
found
you
me under a
subscribe.
rock. And you
All
think
right.
I'm joking?
So yeah,
I'm kidding. I am joking.
yeah.
Injuries. Injured.
Injuries, and there were. I mean, and there are, and we don't even know the long-term effects of her injuries. We don't know
Now
for
remember,
sure.
we are talking law, right, Cliff? So we're using.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pulling out specific keywords that I've researched myself that they actually define themselves. So I'm pointing out words in this video so people can pay attention.
Yeah.
Let's focus
And
on the
that's a
root word.
good-
I'm
That's a
telling
good
you this for a
point,
reason.
QI. The media won't name the officer, but
names the victim. Mhm.
and goes over their entire life history.
Yeah, this person
That's
Caroline,
based
she
on
goes
character.
around and antagonizes the police officers and all this other stuff. Like I've seen all these news reports about this case,
Yep.
and a lot of them are just asshats.
Yep, I agree.
I honestly think that
Character
Caroline has a
assassination.
case for defamation, to be honest. Defamation of character. I think she has standing
against the media.
against the media. Against the media. Yep.
Yep, there's news reports. Yeah,
In the news reports, yep,
think you might
because
be
they're
right.
they're only talking about one side and they're not giving the full story and they're not naming other people like the
Yep.
officer and all that stuff. That's why I believe that
Yep.
I think that she may have standing for an actual true defamation lawsuit, defamation of character, because
There's
this will actually hinder her physically and futuristically too for
yeah,
money
I think
damages.
that's a great point. They are biased. It's definite. You can see it.
Yep. So keep that word in mind. Injured. Keep that word in mind. Let's continue.
area under investigation did not have crime scene tape. Her YouTube page shows she's had run-ins with police before. Just last week, Tarrant County settled a lawsuit with her for a 2022 incident in which she argued a sheriff's deputy assaulted her by swatting away her camera.
Stop resisting.
Rodriguez faces several charges, including resisting and evading arrest.
She was pretty much not coming.
And yet they're showing where, I mean, they're showing her.
They literally
getting
just
slammed to the
reported,
ground.
"Don't believe your
I
lying
don't see
eyes."
any evading. Yeah, exactly.
Believe the words coming out of
Council
my
member
mouth, but not
Chris
the
Nettles
video we're
first
showing.
called for the body cam video's release.
Be handcuffed and slung to the ground. It's not a police policy that is practiced in the city of Fort Worth, and we cannot tolerate that type of behavior.
Fort Worth police investigating the incident and use of force, saying the department will ensure the investigation is thorough and impartial.
Sure, we're going to
Bullshit.
investigate ourselves and find no wrongdoing, and they're just regurgitating whatever the police department says. They're going to investigate this impartially and fairly. It's like, okay, whatever.
If I remember correctly,
people
all they
just
did was let
so
Kruger
messed up.
go, right? Or is it it's still under
That's
investigation still? I can't remember where we're at with the case.
I think it's
Yeah.
still under investigation because
I
they
think it
were
is.
going on their summer break. They couldn't hold off on taking their vacation to investigate such an egregious
Oh, but
act.
they would do it at the drop of a hat if it was one of their own.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. They would cancel their vacation if it was against one of them.
And
But
what's up with
because-
these public meetings at 9 a.m. on a freaking Tuesday in the morning? Like, what the hell's that all about?
Well, that's to keep
Well,
your people
I know,
from
I'm being
redressing your
sarcastic, Nikki.
government.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah, we know.
I'm just pointing out something that people should know. Maybe, try to go ask your boss if you could not come into work at 9 a.m. so you can attend the public meetings.
Yep. And if you read right here,
Maybe
it
I'll
says
let
leaders plan to have a closed door executive session. Closed door. In other words, it's the public's not invited to it. They got to have these closed door sessions. That's how transparent our government is.
City leaders plan to have a closed-door executive session on the issue this Friday. In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana Dalb.
All right, so go ahead, and we got over that. We have that coming in. All right, so first and foremost, let's start with some civil rights violations, right? Right? There's some civil rights violations happening. First one was free exercise of her First Amendment right to free press, her freedom of speech, freedom of movement under the Fourth Amendment, excessive use of force, which isn't really a civil rights thing. It's more of a criminal thing. So it'd fall under the criminal law, not civil rights law. So there are the two. However, I believe that if you violate a civil rights law, there should be, I honestly believe that the law should be a lot harsher when you violate the law. And here's why. Okay, this is my explanation. I'm referring to officers.
Yeah,
I want to make this clear. I want
right.
to the officers, it should be stricter on officers, and they should not be backed by a policy. It should be much stricter on them because they're supposed to be trained in this. We pay them to know. From what I'm reading, from what I'm understanding, from the black and white ink on the page, let me show you. Okay. You guys probably can't see that very, very well. So let me adjust this real quick and get it a little bit bigger. All right.
Now
you guys can
I
see
do like
this.
the fact that you do make it bigger for everybody to be able to see it. Besides the fact that you do tell them where you're getting the information from to where they can go and read it themselves. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm just trying to pass on knowledge and read verbatim. It's right there in black and white. Not hard to read unless you're illiterate. And all these officers think we're illiterate, especially when we start saying, you need to have reasonable articulable suspicion. And they're like, they look at you like they're dumbfounded. Like, what the hell did that guy just say? That sounded foreign language to me. It's like, yeah, it's foreign language to you because you apparently don't know the law. We're like, hello. Cuckoo from Cocoa
And just
Puffs,
so everyone
are ya?
knows, Nikki does all the reading for me because she knows I can't read.
You can read, you just don't and
Boom, boom,
understand
boom.
a lot.
Comprehension kind of coincides with reading.
Okay.
Why isn't this? Okay. So this is from the DOJ menu, Civil Rights Division, right? So here, let me move my camera. There we go. So you guys see it's the website right there, the Civil Rights Division. This is Title 18 USC Code 241. We all know this one, right? Section 241 makes it unlawful for two or more persons to agree to injure, threaten, or intimidate a person in the United States in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his or her having exercised such a right. Right? So the offense is always a felony. Remember that word. It's always a felony. Unlike most conspiracy statutes.
Okay, so 241, two or more. So who was the second person that was conspiring with Officer Kruger to violate Carolina's rights?
Female officers who neglected their duties under due diligence. They conspired. It's still a conspiracy for not stopping it.
Even though it's not verbal.
Even though it's not verbal, they didn't do anything. They didn't stop Kruger. That's dereliction of duty as well as conspiring because you're not doing anything.
Yeah, I think that one might be a little bit harder to prove.
It's a stretch, yeah, but it's still the truth. It's the hard stretch of truth, but it's still the truth. Because they use it on us all the time.
Yeah, it can still be considered subjective. So that's why I was thinking more in the lines of 242 instead of 241. But
well, I go on to 242 as well.
Yep, I know you do.
I go over most of it. Statutes 241 does not require as an element the commission of an overt act. See?
Okay.
Right there. It proved
What
you.
is the
Can
what
it?
is
Yeah.
an overt act?
Let's look up the meaning for it real quick, shall we? Overt act definition. This is law, the Legal Information Institute. An overt act is generally an overt act refers to a specific or observable action or conduct that is taken by an individual.
So conspiracy needs a meeting of the minds that you can prove. Yeah, I agree, Rogue. Yeah, that one's, like I said, the 241 is going to be a little bit harder to prove.
It's going to be harder to prove,
further,
but the conspiracy needing a meeting of the minds means that any police officer who is part of the Blue Line Gang automatically has a meeting of the minds when it comes to dealing with quote unquote criminal behavior.
Because they're already been influenced by the cult.
Okay.
It's a cult.
These are our opinions, right? These are our opinions.
Oh, these have been proven by the FBI that the Blue Line Gang is actually defined as as the Blue Line thing for the police officers. The FBI actually just came out with something. What was it? About 2 weeks ago, they finally released something about it. I have to do more research on it, but they said something along the lines of it being a cult, some form of cultish, cult-like something. Their verbiage was very hard to understand, so I'm still trying to understand it.
Well, it's one thing for the FBI to come to that conclusion, but we need the courts to have come to that conclusion before we can use it. I mean, the proof has to already be there. Yeah. So, all right, let's continue.
Furtherance of a particular purpose or intent, while the term overt act has different legal meanings depending on the context in which it is used. It is usually used in connection with criminal law, with the implication generally being that an individual who conducts an overt act shows intention to commit a crime. Generally being that an individual who conducts an overt act shows an intention to commit a crime. Throwing her on the ground was
what is an overt act?
Intent to excessive use of force. It's an overdose.
Yeah, I mean, it's an argument that you could say he intended to harm her or injure her by throwing her to the ground, but they could
Because
also
he-
argue that he didn't mean to injure her.
No,
by,
the
taking her-
video doesn't show that at all. There's no. Well, I'm going to stop you on that back end. No,
But you know
we've seen
they're
the
gonna argue
video.
that. Yeah,
We've seen the video.
yeah, I know we've seen the video. Yep. I'm just
Oh, they're
doing Nikki's job, playing a little bit of
the defendant.
devil's
is
advocate there.
The prosecutor is it the prosecutor? No, it would be the defendant at this point because she's the prosecutor. Yeah, she's the one prosecuting them.
She would be.
Yeah, so the defendants would use that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're little weasels.
Yeah.
They want to
Intent to commit a crime.
That's one thing that I hate about this whole the system that we have is we now live under something called open to interpretation laws, and that's not a very functional society. And that's exactly what we're in right now. And I don't know why people haven't seen that yet. I'm just reading what I'm seeing and reading what I'm understanding and trying to connect dots that may or may not be truthful or not. That's why I said this is a thesis, this is a hypothesis, and we're still talking it over. So
Yep.
it's not finalized. I haven't even actually come to the conclusion yet that we could charge them with treason. This is, can we? Is it possible? Is there something there?
Well, and I think you're onto something with the 242. And we'll get there. You're going to show it here in a little bit.
Exactly,
Okay.
Melissa.
I
Now
agree
let's
with
talk
Melissa.
about some other things here. Where did I put my paperwork? Printed all this stuff. Okay, I printed all this. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna pull this up real quick. Okay, so let's propose this. Okay, this is the oath of office from the Seaside Police Department. Okay,
I know it's a different
This is
state,
policy number.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and
but it's a
I was wondering
general
why
assumption of oath.
didn't go to Texas. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a generalized thing.
The oaths are all pretty much the same thing in every state, but I think it would have been better for you to look up the Texas one and do that one. But you're in California, so it's natural for you to look it up for California.
For 104, and the oath of office is 104.3. Okay, and it says, as reads, all sworn members shall be required to affirm the oath of office expressing commitment and intent to respect constitutional rights in discharging the duties of a law enforcement officer pursuant to the California Constitution, Article 20, Section 3 of the Government Code Section 3102. The oath shall be as follows. I, employee
Pause.
name, do solemnly swear or affirm.
You notice where I said the reason why I brought it up is because I wanted to show that the only reason why I mentioned this was because it brings the actual federal government code that this police department is abiding by, which is the law. So that's what I'm pointing at. They use the code, the actual federal code.
Yeah,
the
and that's
only
what I mean by. That's why I say that most. I would assume that every state is using federal law.
federal codes.
And
Yeah.
in the United States, they're swearing an oath to the United States Constitution as well as their own.
Were we
fixed
hoping?
state. So they're all pretty close to being the same oath everywhere.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, semicolon, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, semicolon, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, semicolon, and that I will well and will faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter, period.
Okay, so we all know that that's just something that you do just to get the job. It's just a formality. It doesn't mean anything, right? Everybody agree?
Yeah, it doesn't mean nothing. It's just a little oath, just a little thing that our military servicemen say the same thing about, and they don't. Seems like some of them don't even care these days, and it's scary.
Well, and the thing is too is when they take the oath, I'll bet 95 to 99% of the people out there that swear an oath to the Constitution have never even read the Constitution. They don't even know what's in it. So that's that's been proven
Hang
all
on.
over the
Woo!
Hang on.
STD got
Hang
something
on.
good.
Yep. STD
Thank you, STD.
has the oath of office here. And sorry, Cliff, I'm going to knock your screen down and I'm going to take the screen here in
Ooh,
just a second. I've got to get it on the right browser.
it's 3 pages.
I found the right page.
Who may give the oath of office? See, this one even says, "So help me God."
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm going to share my screen now. Here it is, page 2
Make it
of
big.
3. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, we got to make it
Whoops.
real big because Cliff's eyes are not that good.
That's
You-
right.
We're not going to go there.
It's okay. I wear glasses. Do you not see me wear glasses? I can't see shit either. So I can make fun of blind people.
Okay. So it says, I, put your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of insert city, state, township, county, whatever.
Yep.
City, not state, because there's of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. In addition, before taking the oath of office and beginning the duties of office, each elected or appointed officer required to take the oath of office must also subscribe to the following statement: that I, insert name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. So the
So
oath of
obviously there's
office,
been some corruption there in the past.
yeah. So the oath of office is basically just one sentence that says, I'll faithfully execute the duties of the office and to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution.
Well, if this is their best ability, from what I've seen so far, that's shit. Excuse my language. But it's shit.
I agree.
If that's the best they could do, it reminds me of George, what was his name? George Carlin. This is the best we could do, folks.
Yep.
The public sucks. We all know.
All right, let's continue here.
Right there. Okay. Right there. Now,
I want to get right to the 242 here.
oh, this is the good one. This is the part of the treason part. You're about to skip over the most important part of the video.
Oh, there. Okay. There.
Right after this.
Allegiance to the
Yeah, right here is perfectly fine. I went
The
over
United
this whole
States
thing.
Constitution is the law of the land. The oath of office is saying that you are going to uphold these laws pursuant to the Constitution. You are owing your allegiance to this Constitution. If you violate this Constitution, there's the penalty of treason. Now, let's talk about that word, treason. Let's look that up. Treason. U.S. Title 18 U.S. Code 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States, okay, levies war against them or adheres to their enemies. Who is them? What's the definition of them? This statute doesn't tell you what the definition of them is. Who is them? Well, from my observation, we the people are make up the country. We the people wrote the laws of the land. So therefore, anyone who breaks these laws are in violation. I hate that word violation. I think that they are using unintentional things by not teaching us these legal information. By the way, this is also Cornell Law School, just so you guys know where I'm getting this information from. What does the definition levies war? What is levying war? Levying war, if a body of men be accurately assembled for the purpose of affecting by force a treasonable purpose, all those who perform any part, however minute or however remote from the scene of action, and who are actually leagued in the general conspiracy. So what would
See?
So it's a general conspiracy, right?
Are you pausing it for me to say something?
Yeah.
I was just saying, with this part, the levying war and the them part, them is referring to, like I said, we the people, because we the people wrote the Constitution, which is the document that created our government, and we the people are the ones that created our government. So therefore, levying war against them is defined because there's a comma there. Them is referring to we the people of the people themselves. So anybody who levies war against another American is technically is by this definition a treasonable offense if it's more than one person, if there's like a group of people doing it. And so let's put it into perspective of let's say a protest. There's two oppositions, the left and right, and like the ant scenario, when someone shook the jar. Well, we got to find out who shook the jar. Who's the guy that did the general conspiracy? Who's the one? See, even however remote, doesn't even matter if they were there or not. That's what this says. That's what that's legal information from the Cornell Law Institute. It's right there. If you see, it says LII right next to the thing. It's the same.
Yeah.
I'm using the same stuff. So I'm just trying to say, like, when an officer says, let's do it this way. Let's say,
so that's the key word, officer. That's one man. This
now,
says
I was
anybody.
about to say, that's why I said, let's say officers. I tried to correct myself. It's like, let's say officers. There are two officers in one patrol car. That's a group. Two or more people is considered a group by definition, because that's what the government says. Two or more people, right? So let's say they pull you over for, let's use the new law for California for an example. As of January 1st, there's a new law saying that police officers cannot use expired tags that are within 2 months of the expiration of the month on the back of the tag as the primary reason to pull you over, because they're trying to stop that from happening, to stop police officers from fishing for more information. Because that's what we know they use it for. They use our expired tag crap and the minorest things to go fishing for all kinds of things. We all know this. So that law eliminates that. So it eliminates the general conspiracy part of where these guys are coming over to pull you over for a stupid minor thing that is, waiting in the mail, or you've already paid for it and you're just waiting for the mail to come back to say, we've got your money. Here's the thing. Put this in your temp thing for now. Like, we have that stuff. And then they go and start to instigate or shall I say intimidate, as the law was also saying, to intimidate somebody. They are intimidating this guy through intimidation tactics that they are trained by the same department that shouldn't be training them to do, because they're supposed to be peace officers, I guess is what they call them now, or public safety officers is what my town likes to call them. It's kind of weird. They're not law enforcement, they're public safety enforcement. So I'm trying to figure out what's the difference. It all sounds like a conspiracy, doesn't it? Like all this stuff. They're just slowly levying war against the people through their unconstitutional policies that they don't even follow themselves. And then they tell us to follow the policies of a courthouse that says you cannot record in here because the stupid sign says no recording in here, but it's labeled to a trespass statute, not the actual no filming statute, because there is no filming statute. There is no filming statute. So it's like rules for thee, but not for me. But you want me to follow your rules, but not for me. But when I tell you to follow your own rules, you want to yell at me? What? Huh? My head hurts.
They're using
So let's
word
continue.
salad, basically. Yeah, it's all word salad.
So levying war is using force, excessive use of force, to
Dragging you out of your
violate
car.
someone's civil rights under Statute Code 21, right? Then we got Section 242. It is a crime for a person.
Now, here's the one that I absolutely agree with is what happened to Carolina.
Oh, this one is the exact one. This is the main one. I was just going over all of them.
Yeah. This one I think
you gotta
is the
know.
one that fits the best as far as getting Kruger charged with a crime, which I still my opinion, he needs to be charged with a crime and not just do a civil lawsuit. We need to
He
start
needs to be taken to federal.
holding these officers accountable criminally for their actions, and nothing less, in my opinion, should happen.
Well, I tie it all together
acting-
here from 241 and 242
You
as
do.
to why. Yeah, there's a reason why I do it that ties up at the end, and you'll see it.
Yep, absolutely.
Under the color of law, to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. Right?
So what he did, he deprived her of her right to film the police,
In
to
a
be
public
where
capacity.
she was. And by slamming her on the ground, injuring her, he committed a crime. So not only the Section 242, Title 18, but he also, I mean, that was basically aggravated assault. But I think this one would hold even more weight.
It's not aggravated assault. It was just assault.
Well,
The
aggravated
difference between
would be
aggravated assault
severe
and
bodily
assault.
injury.
Well, have you actually seen the two differences in what they actually define as? Because it's very stupid.
Yeah, they differ by
they
state
totally
to state.
differ.
They differ from state to state. Yeah,
It's crazy.
and it all
It's like,
depends
we
on
need
what
a
state
basic
you're in,
terminology.
which
Black and white.
Yep, absolutely.
If we're gonna have laws, they need to be black and white. There is no
That's
ifs,
what
ands, or
this
buts.
says.
Stop
Here's
playing
the actual
discretion.
thing. Whoever, under color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both. And if bodily injury results from these actions committed in violation of this section, or if such actions include the use, attempted use, or threatening use of a dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. And if death results from the actions committed in violation of this section or in such acts, including kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years, or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Death penalty. You can be charged with the death penalty with 242. That's how crazy it gets. If death occurred.
The last one doesn't really apply because she didn't die.
Yep.
But
the 10 years does.
Other two, absolutely, up to 10 years. And,
yep.
That's
bodily
where
injury.
I think they need to go with this. And people need to really get fired up and make those calls to whoever the prosecutors would be, and actually get this officer charged. with this crime because, and this needs to
Yes.
happen a lot more often with police officers in general when they commit these crimes. Instead of having an internal affairs division investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing, it's just nuts that they're not charging these officers with crimes. Instead, they just fire them so they can go to work over in the next county. It's silly.
Did you not read all of that?
Yeah,
Injury,
it's true.
treason, levies war against them and adheres to their enemies. Levying war against them. Who's them? This person would the person who happens to be getting levied their war against. I'll tell you who it is. You ready for it? Where is she? CFW, Carolina. This is a prime example. Prime example.
She levied war. Look at their
See,
face.
and
Is that not
she's like all over
someone
the
got
place.
beat up in a gang violence of
Fox
some
News,
sort?
NBC. She's all
Like-
over the place right now.
I watched every single one of those, by the way, and they
Here's her
all
actual video.
reported her completely wrong. That's
Oh
terrible.
yeah, the mainstream media gets it wrong every single time because they're just regurgitating whatever the government tells them to spew out there. It's crazy.
Videos. Here's her channel. What did they do? They threw her ass to the ground. They levied war against her. All right. And now there's another video out saying that they're conspiring to cover up this thing. So that would be adhering to their enemies. So the enemy in this situation is Kruger. Kruger's the one that violated the Constitution. He's the one that he levied war against Caroline, right? Against her rights to freely express her constitutional rights, right? So
what does everybody think about if he's not prosecuted with a crime, criminal charges are not levied? Would that be considered a cover-up and conspiracy between the DA's office and the police departments and all of those entities?
Would follow under 241.
That would fall under treasonous acts. I'd like to hear, see some opinions in the chat on that, because this is happening a lot where police departments get cover from the DAs and the court system to not charge them with criminal acts.
I just want people to be. I just want these officers to be charged. I just want people who actually break the law, who are officers, to be charged with the damn law.
And if they're not charged, would that be considered violating 18 U.S. Code 2381? Would that be treasonous acts?
My answer so far, I haven't found anything telling me no.
Yeah.
Like
Still-
everything keeps pointing to it. Like it's plain English.
It might
but,
still be hard to prove, but I mean, it does make sense to really investigate why these people are not being charged with crimes. I think we need to hold our DAs and our judges and the court system to task on these things. And I mean, I think there should be some true digging, email correspondence, texting, because there might be this type of conspiracy going on behind the scenes where we don't know about it. So what does that say?
Exactly.
SCOTUS enactment, the qualified immunity to counter these very codes. Yeah, absolutely. Qualified immunity is what they try to use, but if they know, qualified immunity is because they had lack of knowledge, right? But if they already knew, and you can prove that they knew they were violating rights under color of law, and then they cover it up and don't charge with it, then that would, I mean, it's just my opinion, but I would think that that would be an act of treason to cover up these investigations.
And then you would
not
actually want to charge that not with IA, but with the actual police chief, the actual head honcho. Charge it with him. Put it on him because he's the one he's the leader of the group. Charge it with him because it says you just remote. You don't have to be a part of it per se to not do anything. Well, if you're not doing anything about it, that's also not doing something about it. You know, when they say
Right.
you're not doing
But you still have to
doing
prove
nothing doesn't
conspiracy.
do anything for anybody.
Yeah, you still have to prove conspiracy though, and that's where you want to
By not
see
doing something, it's been
anything in
proven as a
writing.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
They charge
Well,
they charge that with the Biden case right now with not treason per se, but conspiring with his law stuff for his firearms thing. That the case right now with Hunter Biden and his firearm, and why he lied on the FBI application and all that stuff for drug use and all that. Well, they're trying to cover all that stuff up by saying, "Oh, it was after this." Well, that's conspiring to cover up a crime. So I'm just saying it's not treason, but that's still adhering. That's still not doing nothing. That's,
right.
in my opinion, that's just how I see it. Anyways, I'll stop there because my brain had a fart.
Well, and with Rogue Nation in the chat, I would like to get his opinion on this. Would it be treasonous if all of these entities conspired together to not charge an officer with a crime when it comes to the Carolina case? And if you could prove it, you'd have to really
They
get
destroy
all
the
the
evidence.
correspondence.
Isn't that a crime?
Well, it is, but is it treasonous? I don't know.
Well, if it's covering up a treasonous crime, that's a federal
we don't know.
offense. Well,
Yeah,
who knows?
But you have to prove treason. Period. I mean, that's
Yeah, you got to prove it. It's
there's-
hard to prove treason.
Yeah, very, very.
So Kruger's the enemy in this place. The captain, if found guilty, would be adhering to the enemy. All right. Now, what he is doing, what the chief could be charged with, and the whole corporation could be charged with, is giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, because they're aiding and abetting the enemy who violated the Constitution by violating constitutional conspiracy, conspiring against constitutional rights, which is and the word overt act, right? What is an overt act? It's an intention to commit a crime. Okay? Intention to commit a crime. So they're conspiring. They are levying war by assembling more than one person, right? And enforcing
Pause for a second.
and using an effective forcible move.
Rogue. When I read that, all I could think of was Cheech and Chong. It's all a conspiracy, man.
Yeah.
But it's so true. He's like, I may be high, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That
sorry,
was
I
funny.
had to. In the
Oh,
middle of
that came to my mind too. It's all a conspiracy, man.
All a conspiracy, man. I don't know.
excessive
but
force,
this is a
deadly
good
force.
weed.
She could have had brain damage. She could have died. There's injury, results of injury, right? Right? The result of an injury. But they have loyalty to the Constitution and the United States, but they broke that by levying war against her. I call that treason. And I believe,
My opinion.
my own personal stay is that Kruger should be fined, should be jailed for 5 years, possibly 10 years, actually, because if we go back to, the Section 242, bodily harm, they kidnapped her, they abused her, they beat her up, they deprived her of her rights, and should be in terms, any about what was it, 10 years? No more than 10 years? Right here. In prison for no more than 10 years. Threatened use of a deadly weapon, explosives, or fire. Right? Attempted use. Right here.
Yeah. So,
Attempted use. Which would be his hands too. Attempted use
well, but that's
language. Well, it
that's
says
not
including
considered
the use,
yeah.
attempted use, or threatened of. But
And his
he had
hands
cuffs
could
on her.
be dangerous weapons.
Dangerous weapons
Yeah.
would be handcuffs, right? Because they're technically torture cuffs.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
They can be used as a
The
weapon.
hands would be more of a dangerous weapon.
Well, he
Well,
used the
but that's-
cuffs to
they don't
detain her,
consider
and then used his
Hands
hands
as deadly weapons.
as the weapon. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
they don't consider hands as a deadly weapon, Nikki.
Oh, they do if
Oh.
you're a boxer, and they tell you to carry a
Well-
firearm instead.
It's a registered thing, though, and police officers are not registered typically. I mean, you could check into it.
I honestly think that they should.
They should be registered, yeah.
Here, because of the
Include
abusive training that they do
use,
on us.
the
abusive training that they
attempted
go through.
use, the
They abuse
threatened
us.
threatening use of a dangerous weapon, which would be Kruger's bodily muscles. In this
Yeah, no.
case, freaking ego would be the dangerous weapon in this point.
Maybe his ego is the dangerous
Well,
weapon
that-
at this point.
I don't know if anyone else
I'm
sees
sorry.
it, but
I love
I
when I've heard
I
myself
think
say
all
that. I started
officers who
chuckling
violate
after I
these two
realized
laws
that.
should automatically.
Yeah, after you said that,
That
I
one
was like,
came
oh,
off.
come on. You're really stretching, Bacon.
Yeah, that one I was just I was just like venting, and then I'm like, man, I really said that.
I
That's
know.
funny, actually. People are gonna get that as a joke.
It
I
was.
hope. I hope they get that as a joke.
it
I was
was
just
funny.
being I was like, hell, his ego.
I think you were letting your emotion get involved right there.
Yeah, with
So,
with that
no, I
one,
get
just
it,
with
but-
that one.
Yep. Yep.
automatically be charged with treason and thrown in jail for the minimum of 10 years, give them a $10,000 fine that they must pay out of their own paycheck, and then never hold office at all under the United States anywhere, not even a foreign, not even join the military.
Now, I agree with that statement right there. They should never be able to hold office again or be a cop ever again.
And they should be
Um,
charged $10,000.
Once they're convicted, yeah, absolutely. I think
Yep.
I think they should be full extent of punishment if they're convicted for this kind of thing.
Especially, and it should be even. I honestly think it should be worse the higher your rank is in the police force. So if you're like a lieutenant
Did you see
and you're doing this,
Press
oh no,
with
let's
Ranker?
just go to
Look at that.
full.
Look at Press with Ranker's statement there. That's funny.
His emotions were the deadly. I'm right. His ego and his emotions were the deadly weapon. My emotions and his ego.
Not allowed
they
to do
kinda
anything.
collapsed.
You're not allowed to be a security guard anymore. You won't be allowed to be a public servant for any department. Doesn't matter what it is. Not even at town halls or city halls or whatever you want to call them. No businesses of any sort whatsoever to hold any office in the United States thereafter, which means no badge, no security badge, no private security work, none of it. I think it should be removed from it. If you're a police officer and you violate these rights, you should no longer have any authority whatsoever to do anything to the public. You have to become an automatic citizen after that and be jailed for a minimum of 10 years and have a felony on your record. Simple as that. That's how I see it. That's how I'm going to keep it. And if I am wrong, I would like to know. Let me know. Did I explain this properly? Do you think there might be something that I'm going against? I don't know. I'm just showing what I see. All right. I'm just trying to put two and two together. I'm trying to understand this a little better. I'm reading it in pretty plain English and it makes sense to me. So I don't know. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And this is the Bacon Project, Christian Bacon Press, reporting to you from BCNN. I'm an investigative journalist for them. Real news only. See you guys in the next video. Peace.
I love it. Absolutely love your assessment, and I appreciate that you put something out there anyway, because I haven't heard any other ideas of how to get this tyrant charged with a crime. I mean, that's they're saying that he should be charged with a crime, but they're not saying what crime. And I think you're right, especially on the 242 US 18.
Oh, I
Tyler
am strongly hearted on 242. I honestly,
I
that's,
think
if,
that
if
one
anything,
fit
that's the one he
perfectly.
should be charged with. Yeah, if anything, that's the one he should
Yep.
be charged with.
Yep. I don't think there should be.
And then,
like,
of
a
course, stripped is
state,
bad, and it should happen to all of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And he should lose his qualified immunity because I mean it was that egregious. He knew what he was doing. He knew. I mean,
And he knew exactly who she was.
just a little thing. Yeah, and it
Officer
was out of
Kruger, Officer
malice
Kruger.
that he
What do
did
you
what he
want?
did.
He said that
Yeah, they knew each
he
other.
talked to her exactly like everything, like she knew her.
Well, and Press with Rancor believes that 241 can also be involved there, and I tend to
It's a stretch, but it can be.
prove. Yep, yep. It's just going to be way harder to prove. So why not just charge with one that you can prove for sure?
The only thing that
Or
America
you
has
charge them
ever
with both, and they
proven,
can find not guilty on 241 and guilty on 242. So give them that option, I guess. But
yeah.
doesn't
Well,
hurt to charge them with both.
the last time that we've actually used the government code, the treason code, for treason, what was it? 2831. That code specifically. I think that last part where it says should not be able to hold any office, I think they should add that to 241 and 242 as part of it,
Absolutely,
saying
I
like,
agree.
if you do this, let's add this to it. Let's not remove it from the treason. Let's just add it from treason. Let's just add that language to it. It's like, if you do this and you found guilty of it, then you're not going to hold office anymore, and you can't transfer to another department. Doesn't matter what state you're in. You're done. You're done. Like you're done. You can't work for the force anymore. You're stripped of your badge. You're stripped of your license. You're stripped of everything. Because they actually do. Some states actually have to have you sign up where the state citizens of that state pay for it, but those officers actually, the taxpayers are paying for police officers to carry police officer license cards, like a driver's license card. But yet they also want us to pay for their badge that has their identification on it with their nameplates and all this other stuff. And I'm going, why do we need more?
Yeah. Well, here I agree with what TAC is saying here too. I think they should just run up the charges, charge them with and see what sticks. That's what they do to the civilians. That's what they did with Carolina.
I'm gonna grab this pot of spaghetti
charged
and
her with
throw it at
4
the wall.
different crimes. Even though they committed the crime, they charged her with 4 crimes. So, yeah, I'm turning.
Why do you think I'm charging him with 3? I gave off 3 harsh ones, but yeah, 3 of them. 241, 242, and 2381 or whatever it was, whatever treason is. Mostly the last
And
part. That's the only part that I wanted to be charged
with. Rancor is saying
last
right
part.
here too. That cop had come from a different county and was charged with
oh yeah,
the same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
in a different county, and he had to leave there, and they gave him a job in Fort Worth. It's like, to just go from place to place, violating people's rights and committing.
If you continue to shift bad apples out of the bunch into another bag of apples, you're just gonna spoil that bad apple bunch. Like, so why? Do we not have enough farmers in this world anymore that doesn't understand language concept? Like, what can we say to the modern day person who is not a farmer to give them the thought of to give them the analogy of, one bad apple ruins the bunch? What can we say in a modern day someone who's never been a farmer or a gardener and doesn't even know it? Because they don't teach this crap to us in schools anymore, to our kids. Like, I've ran for school board in my area. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. And the system is terrible. Like, standardized testing. What the hell is that? Trying to teach a kid how to pick between 1 through 4 and hope he gets the right answer and not know the answer? There's a big difference here. If you don't know the answer, then you don't know the answer, and you should probably go study it.
Yeah.
This ain't multiple choice in life. You don't get a multiple choice in life. You may make multiple choices in life.
What do you think about all this, Nikki? You've been pretty quiet over there, Nikki.
I know, right?
Oh, well, I haven't had a chance to butt in.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
fired
that's
up.
okay.
Because
That's
I
okay.
really hate what they did to Caroline. So
I hate it,
Yeah,
but I do appreciate the fact, Crispy Bacon, that you have, like I said, put a lot of thought into it and have brought it to the attention to make other people think, hey, looking at
And
this
maybe
and
somebody
looking
will
at
take
these
this and run with it.
words, and can we and will the people who need to actually start charging these officers with their crimes? It's all great and wonderful for us to say this is exactly what they did. This is exactly what laws they broke. But if the people who can and will charge the officers don't, then what good does that do for us? Are we just blowing hot
Yeah.
air?
Well, at least we're getting it out there and having ideas of how they could be charged, and then groups and the public out there need to have more outcry with these prosecutors to actually get them to prosecute these crimes, because they are crimes that these officers are doing, not only in Fort Worth but all over the country. And the more that we expose it and get public outcry, the more likely that they will be charged in the future. And I think that's important that Crispy Bacon brought this up and came up with ideas on how they could be charged. I think it's important to at least get the ideas out there to the public. So hopefully something comes up.
Just like Tack said, I do have a lot to say, and I am sometimes full of hot air, but there are some times where I make some valid points through that hot air.
Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm not
and
afraid to say that. I don't know. As what's that saying from Socrates? All I know is I know nothing.
Yep, the Socratic
Yeah.
method is what it's called, and you're definitely using that, but you're making people think too, and that's the whole point.
I
People
was
need
raised to be a
think.
thinker, so I thought maybe
Yep.
it would help other people.
Yep. All right, so that's why we wanted to bring you in today and have you on, was to kind of do that and a little bit of update. Oh, what have you got coming up, or do you have any plans of what you're going to be doing in the future? Are you going to be out
I'm
there
working
doing
on a
some product?
project right now for the water district, my local water district. They're trying to do some things and change some things in my city that doesn't seem right. So I'm still investigating. So I can't give too much, except that my water district seems to be funneling money in places that they shouldn't be, and it's not a good look. I also recently got found about 2 or 3 years ago. It's a past thing where an employee of the district, because this was during my campaign years, trying to run for the thing. I was doing some research and I found that a employee was embezzled roughly $50,000 from the school district, so taxpayer money, and embezzled $50,000 roughly, and all they did was transfer to a different district. They didn't even charge her.
Well, and
So there's a lot
that
I'm looking into right now. There's a lot going on in my life that I'm looking into. So that's about all I can say at the moment.
perfect. And so people just need to watch out for your videos, because eventually you will be exposing more.
If you guys don't know who Anthony
Um,
X is, definitely look up him. Anthony X, he's a local guy around my area. He's been doing it for several years now, and I recently did a video with him, but we haven't put anything out yet. We're still gathering a little bit more information, of course, but keep an eye out
So
for
you're
that
doing
one
true
coming out.
investigative work.
Yes, I'm actually investigating. I'm not just going out and doing what they say, just grab a camera and film. I'm doing more than that. I'm doing the behind the scenes work too. The nonchalant, everyone's annoyed kind of stuff.
Yep.
So that's what I
Well,
have
and
for
I'm
y'all.
glad that you're a BCN and affiliate too. Anybody that's affiliated with Flex Your Freedoms is it's okay in my book, because I'm sure he did.
Grandma's amazing. Shout out to Grandma.
Yeah. And it was nice having you on here today. Nikki, do you have any parting words as well before we play the outro?
Crispy Bacon, all I can say is just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. I say thank you, because you are making people think. You are bringing things to attention for everybody else to wonder about. And that's stuff that we need to have happen, because we can't continue having everybody say, oh, well, I'm not a criminal, it doesn't affect me. You know,
the
the more
laws
we,
affect you all the time.
right.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Good points, Nikki. All right, so
Anything
we're
else,
gonna
Nikki?
go ahead
Because I
and get
interrupted you. I'm sorry.
out of here.
No, okay. That was awesome. Thank
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate all you guys
Absolutely.
do here over at the
We'll have-
Vigilante Committee as well, okay? Like, I watch your live streams, and sometimes I can't make them, but I go back and I watch them. So I do thank you guys
And
for,
they're a little long,
pushing out
so
there.
a lot of times you have to watch them later too. So,
Like this one.
But it was good having you. Yep, it was good having you here. And it was good having the audience here. I know that there's breaking news with Delete Laws, and finally he is out of jail, which is a good thing. Justice is prevailed here, except for the 4.5 months that he was actually in a jail cell. And Matthew Reardon is still in jail, and it's been almost a year. So here comes the outro.
In the heart of the Vigilance Committee, where the sun sets low and the spirits run free, we stand together, hand in hand, watching over the sacred land. We're the keepers of the flame. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll never be the same. Through the trials and the tests, we'll always give our best. Through the storms and the darkest night, we'll shine our light, we'll stand and fight. For the ones we love, for the ones we've lost. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll bear the cost. We're the keepers of the flame. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll never be the same. Through the trials and the tests, we'll always give our best. Through the storms and the darkest night, we'll shine our light, we'll stand and fight. For the ones we love, for the ones we've lost. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll bear the cost. We're the keepers of the flame. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll never be the same. Through the trials and the tests, we'll always give our best. In the quiet of the night, we'll keep the watch, we'll hold on tight. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll stand tall. Together we'll rise, together we'll fall. We're the keepers of the flame. In the Vigilance Committee, we'll never be the same. Through the trials and the tests, we'll always give our best. In the heart of the Vigilance Committee, where the sun sets low and the spirits run free, we'll stand together, hand in hand, watching over the sacred in the heart of the Vigilance Committee, where the sun sets low and the spirits run free, we'll stand together, hand in hand, watching over the sacred land.